Hello, and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I will show you how to make the Delicate Shells Crochet Shawl by my friend Lisa Gentry. This shawl is absolutely stunning, made with the It's a Wrap rainbow yarn. This is a size 1 weight yarn, so it's a super fine, meaning your crochet stitches are really going to shine when you use this yarn. Along with the yarn, you need to go ahead and download that free pattern available at redheart.com. This free pattern includes a full list of the materials you will need to complete the shawl. I've put a link to this free pattern in the video description box below. While you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button, as my kids say. Once you have your pattern and your materials, we can go ahead and begin this beautiful shawl pattern. What I love most about this free pattern is that it includes a full crochet chart for you to complete the Delicate Shells Crochet Shawl. It also makes it very easy to customize the length. If you decide that you want yours to be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, all you need to do is add or subtract some of the stitch pattern repeats. It's really super easy. Just remember, if you do add repeats, you might need some more yarn. So go ahead and grab that third ball. That should be plenty. In this video demonstration, I will be using the provided crochet symbol chart, so that way it will be easy to just follow along with the stitches as they're represented here. If you're not a fan of charts, that is okay. The instructions also have all of the instructions written out row for row for those of you who like to read out all of your instructions. I do want to encourage those of you who like the written instructions to please take a look at the symbol chart and see if you can follow along with that as well. If you're able to see what stitches go exactly where in the symbol chart, an entire world of crochet will open up to you, because there's a lot of patterns out there that don't have words and only include charts. So if you're able to read those, imagine how many more patterns you could have. Okay, so in this video, I am also going to be using a worsted weight yarn and a size H hook so you can better see the stitches. But on the actual pattern, remember I said you would use the It's a Wrap rainbow yarn, which is a size 1 weight yarn based off of the Craft Yarn Council listings. Let's go ahead and jump into this beautiful pattern. I do want to remind you it is an intermediate pattern, so I'm going to glaze over some of the skills that I feel like you should know as an intermediate crocheter, but don't worry if there's something that you need a little bit more instructions on. I have a video for it right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Go ahead and just check out the full video list. Let's go ahead, grab our yarn and our hook. The first thing to notice with the chart is that there is not just a straight line of chains indicating the foundation chain. We have chains that start right here and then stitches are worked in, and then chains and then stitches are worked in, and then chains and stitches are worked in. This is going to count as our foundation row, and these chains and the first double crochet are going to be sort of this scalloped edge, and the second double crochet is what we are going to work around to create all of our stitches for the body of our shawl. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this part right here. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way and bring this in to get started. I have a slip knot already placed on my hook, and I will begin with a chain 5. 3, 4, 5. Now I will place 2 double crochets in the 5th chain from hook. So I yarn over my hook, go into the 5th chain from hook, and do 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to repeat that. I will chain 5, and then I will place 2 double crochets in the 5th chain from hook. And I repeat it again. For the shawl, you will do a total of 94 repeats. making it so you have 95 total 2 double crochet groups. In the chart, we have 11 double crochet groups, so that's what I have worked up so far. I have changed colors on you here, but you can take a look, and I have 11 2 double crochet groups right here. So this would represent the bottom of my crochet chart. Let's bring in the chart and see what the next set of instructions are. So that has placed us right down here, and you'll notice there is a slip stitch, okay? So there's a little slip stitch right there, and we are going to begin with a chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we are going to place 1, 2, 3 double crochets all around the post of that double crochet. So let me show you what I mean here. Right here, as I take my little piece that I have finished so far and I set it down, this is my chain 5 edge that we've been doing, and I want that pointed towards the bottom. Excuse me. Now the double crochet that's right up here at the top, that's what we're going to work our stitches around. We're going to work around the entire post of that double crochet. It's taking the place of what would be a foundation row. We're going to work around those double crochets, which makes it so that way our beginning here is a nice trim that we don't have to go back and do. We've already completed it. We begin this section with a slip stitch around that double crochet, right like so, and then we chain 5. Now I want to place 3 double crochet around that double crochet right there. There's 1, 2, and 3. We only do this chain 1 at the start and at the end, so we have that chain 1. Now I'm going to go to the next double crochet, this one right there, and I will place 4 double crochet around that post. And I will keep doing that all the way down until I get to the last 2 double crochet group that I started with, okay? So there are my 4, double crochet all in or around that double crochet right there. I'm going to continue that all the way down the row. I do want to mention that if you're using the It's a Wrap Rainbow, it is very thin yarn, so take your time, and as you're making these stitches, do something that I do. Along the way, have you guys ever noticed that when I make double crochets, you'll see that I hold my stitches as they're getting made. It makes them really nice and consistent. So right here, I've just yarned over and I pulled up a loop. I'll yarn over, and you'll see that I'll grasp the bottom of those so they don't change size, and I'll pull that loop through. Now I'll yarn over, I move my thumb and finger up, and I pull my loop through those. It just makes it so that my double crochet is nice and consistent. It also gives me more control over the yarn and the stitch and the hook. So as you're working with the G hook and the It's a Wrap Rainbow yarn, if you're finding that you're struggling keeping things really nice and consistent and, for lack of a better word, tailored, go ahead and hold those stitches as you're making them. You'll find that they are much more nice, neat, and snug, and it will be more beautiful. Your work will look more beautiful. All right, I'm going to work along the way. I am finishing up my last double crochet right here, and it's time that I do that chain 1. And in the very final 2 double crochet group here, I want to place 3 double crochets and then I'm going to do a treble. So I yarn over my hook twice, go around that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So as I set this down, you can see that the beginning, in theory, with the chain 5, looks just like the end with our treble, with all of those nice little, I'm going to call them double crochet shells. Let's do that all the way down the way. Okay, so once you have done row 2, we can go ahead and move on to row 3. Following along with the chart, you'll notice that on row 3, we start out here on the left side. We begin with the chain 1 and we skip over our treble, and we will place a slip stitch into the next double crochet. In the next double crochet, we begin the beginning shell or beginning double crochet shell. Once you've done that, you will chain 3. You will do a double crochet in the second double crochet of the next double crochet shell. Chain 1, do a double crochet in the next double crochet. Chain 3, and then you have this single crochet, and you'll notice it's not on top of any one singular stitch. It's sort of in between the two, and that's because you're supposed to place a single crochet between the second and the third double crochet of this double crochet shell group. Then you chain 3 and we repeat. So we have a double into the second double crochet, a chain 1, a double into the third double crochet, chain 3, and then a single in between those two. So we'll repeat that all the way down until we get to the end here, where we finish off with a chain 3, and then we do a double, double, double into that second one, and then we do a treble into that second one. All right, so let's work that one out. I'm going to bring my work up here. So this is where we finished off. I will turn my work and begin with our chain 1. So this is our chain 1. We're skipping over our treble. We will do a slip stitch into the top of that next double crochet. And now into the next double crochet, we will work our beginning double crochet shell. So I will slip stitch into that one, chain 5, and then I will place 3 double crochets into that same stitch. Okay, now this is where I do my chain 3. I'm going to go to the next double crochet shell. I'm going to not do the first one, but in the second one, I will place a double crochet. Then I chain 1. And in the next one over, I do a double crochet. Now I chain 3. Go to the next double crochet shell, and in between the second and the third, I'm going to go right in between those two and work a single crochet. And then it's the repeat. So I chain 3, come to the next double crochet shell, put a double into the second, chain 1, and a double into the third. Chain 3. Go in between those stitches and carry on. I'm going to do this all the way down until I get to this last one. Here I am at the last one. I've just done my chain 3. So I will finish off by working into this second double crochet right here, and I will place my 3 doubles. And then I finish off with my treble crochet. Okay, we'll leave all of that just hanging out there, okay? So we don't want to do anything with that. Now we move on to row 4. Let's take a look at our chart. On row 4, we begin reading our chart right out here on this side, and we can see once again we're beginning in the same way we did over here with our chain 1, slip stitch, and then slip stitch and chains all going on here. But as we begin row 4, you can see we start off with the chain 2, and then this next set of instructions are all going to be placed in that chain 1 space, okay? So we will do a double, a chain 1, a double, a chain 1, a double, a chain 1, and a double all into that space. Then we chain 2 and we repeat. Then we chain 2 and repeat, chain 2 and repeat all the way down, and we finish off just like we finished off on the previous row. You'll notice that along the way we begin and end each row the exact same way. All right, let's go ahead and grab our work and jump into row 4. I start off with my chain 1, I will slip stitch into that next double crochet, and then in the next double crochet I start off with my beginning double crochet shell, which is the slip stitch and then chain 5 and then 3 double crochets all into that stitch. All right, now we get busy in the body of the work. We do a chain 2, come over here to where this chain 1 space is. If you want to go into the chain, you can, but it will be a lot easier to just go into that space with a double and a chain 1 and a double and a chain 1 and a double and a chain 1 and a double. So I should have 4 double crochets and 3 chain 1s all right there into that chain 1 space. Now I chain 2, go to the next chain 1 space, so I skip all of these stitches and I repeat that. I do a double, chain 1, a double, chain 1, a double, chain 1, and a double, chain 2, and go to the next chain 1 space. I'll do this all the way down the row. This is the end of my row right here. I finish off with my chain 2, and I will place 3 double crochets into that second double crochet here at the end. And then, of course, my treble. I leave all of this unworked, okay? I want you to notice something. See those chain 5s and that double crochet? Isn't that very similar to what we have down here? See what I mean about how we did our border to begin with, and now we're just working our border up along the sides? Isn't that genius? Lisa Gentry is a genius. All right, so row 5 it is. Let's take a look at our chart. Looking at the chart, you might think that row 5 is just like row 3, and you wouldn't be too far off, except row 5 has us working double crochets, chain 1 doubles into this much more ornate shell than what these double crochet shells were. So we're doing similar stitches, but because this single crochet is no longer going between those 2 stitches, it's going between that chain 2 space. It's just a little bit different. You see what I mean? The stitches are the same, but the location is different enough that I have to explain where we're putting our stitches. Let's go ahead and do that. We begin row 5 with our chain 1 and a slip stitch into that first double crochet, and then we begin our beginning double crochet shell. Pretty easy. You should know it by this point. And now we jump in. We have chain 3. And then we will come all the way over here and place a double crochet into that second double crochet. Chain 1, double crochet into that third double crochet. Chain 3, single crochet into this chain 2 space. Chain 3 and repeat. So I'm going to double into the second double, chain 1, double into the third double, chain 3, single into that chain 2 space. At the end here, I finish off with my chain 3 and I work this ending double crochet shell just like we've been doing all along. Not that big of a change. All right, so let's set this down. Let's take a look. This is the start of our work happening here. Pretty cool, right? Doesn't that look really fantastic so far? I love the way crochet lace looks as you start putting all of those stitches on top of one another. The following row is row 6 and it's completed just like row 4. So I'm not going to refer back to the chart because we already know how to do it, but let's go ahead and pick up our work and jump in to row 6, which is just a repeat of row 4. So I will start off with my beginning double crochet shell stitch right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my doubles. Once I've done that, I do chain 2, and I jump all the way over here to this chain 1 space, and I will work the double, chain 1, double, chain 1, double, chain 1, and double. Chain 2, and then jump over here to this chain 1 space to do it again. I'm finishing up my row 6, just like I do all the other rows. So no change here. You already know how to do this. Once I complete my treble, let's take a look at what my work looks like. So there's my treble completed. I'm going to set this down. And there is the beautiful lace stitch happening. With row 6 complete, that brings us to our first mesh section, which is very easy. And since all of you out there are intermediate crocheters, you're going to find this super easy and it's a little bit brainless. Let's take a look at our chart. Row 7 has us begin reading right out here at the edge. And remember, the beginning and the end are done identical. So I'm not going to go over those anymore in depth. But we can see that we have a lot of half doubles going on along the way. It seems that we're going to put 2 half doubles into each one of the chain 1 spaces and into this chain 2 space. So we're going to get a series of half doubles made along the way. On the following row, row 8, it looks as if we're going to jump into a very simple fillet mesh. It's going to be chain 1 and a double on top of the half double. A chain 1, skip a half double, a double on top of the next half double. Chain 1, skip a half double, so on and so forth. And we do that on rows 9, 10, and 11. And then when we get to row 12, it's just half double crochets across. You'll skip the first chain and then do a half double in the double, a half double in the chain, a half double in the double, a half double in the chain, all the way to the end, and you'll put a half double into the last chain and then do your ending double crochet shell. This section is very easy, so I'm going to just show you really briefly the first 2 rows, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and complete the following rows on your own, and we'll jump into the next section. Okay, so let me go ahead, get you started on row 7. And for that, I will turn my work and start off just like before. I'm assuming you don't need me to talk you through this part. By this point, you should know how to do this bit. And once I'm done with that little section right there, now I'm going to start filling in my half double crochets. So I do not put a half double crochet into this first chain 2. So I yarn over my hook, go to the next chain 1, and I work a half double. And I'm in the same chain 1 and do another half double. I don't do a chain or anything from this point. I go to the next chain 1 and do 2 half doubles. Go to the next chain 1 and do 2 half doubles. Go to the next chain 2 and do 2 half doubles. All right, so I'm just going to get a row of half doubles all the way down. As you come up to the last half double, make sure you do not put half doubles into that last chain 2 space. Instead, complete your ending double crochet shell just like you've been doing. It'll be tricky to go back to a double crochet instead of doing a half double, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Let's see there's my treble, and my first row of the filet mesh is complete. So row 2 is really where I begin to set up that mesh that I will then build upon for the next several rows. You start off row 8 just like you do all the other rows, and then we jump into our mesh pattern. So we will chain 1 and we will place a double crochet into this first half double. Chain 1, skip a half double, do a double into the next half double. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. And you will do this all the way down the row. When you get to the end, I want to remind you, you put that half double, and then we will chain 1, skip that half double, and now we're into our ending double crochet finish here. So make sure that you begin and end this row slightly different. But other than that, everything else in between is exactly the same. All right, so there's my treble. I set this down, and you can begin to see my first mesh section is starting up. On my following rows, wherever you see those double crochets, I will place a double crochet in that stitch, and I will chain all those stitches in between, just like before. For rows 9, 10, and 11, you will repeat row 8, so it's just that filet mesh. For row 12, that's when we have to change it up a little bit again because we're going back to just a series of half double crochets. So we will be placing half double crochets in each of the doubles and in each of the chain 1 spaces. For video's sake, I am going to jump ahead to row 12 right now so you can see how it would work up on your filet mesh section. I've started already, and now I would just jump into my half doubles. I do not place a half double into this first chain 1 space. I'll place it into that first double crochet, and then I'll place it into the next chain 1 space, and then the double, and then into the chain 1 space. And I'll do this all the way down the row, but I will place a half double into that chain 1 space. Okay, so we're just going to get essentially a row of half doubles all the way down here. Once you have completed your row 12, you're essentially back to a nice row of just half double crochets ready to build the next section on. This next section is the center lace bit, and you already know how to do this. I showed you how to do that when we worked rows 3 through 6. So we already know how to do this section. When we began our lace section at the very beginning, we started off this row 3 of the lace section on top of double crochets. When we begin the lace section on row 13, we will be working it on top of this row of half double crochets. That's the only difference in this section. Once you're done with the lace section, you then go back to the second fillet section. Again, you know how to do that. Once the fillet section is done, you go back to a lace section. Again, you know how to do that. So at this point, you know all the stitches you need to know to get you up to row 39. It's on row 39 when we're bringing it all back together to finish off our shawl. And we bring it back together with double crochets. Just like when we began with row 2 and we worked these double crochet shells here, okay? We are going to end our entire shawl. Let's take a look at the chart here. We finish off on row 39 with a series of double crochet shells, just like we started off. See, it's 4 double crochets into that chain 1 spot, 4 double crochets into that chain 2 spot, 4 doubles into that 1 chain 1, 4 doubles into that 1 chain 2. We begin and end just like we have all along. You already know how to do this. Super easy. You should not need for me to teach you how to do it because you've already learned how to do it. It's the very final row, the row 40 that I want to show you now. So I'm going to use my little sample swatch right here, and we are going to just pretend these are the double crochet shells, and we're going to work that final row 40 on top of these half doubles, okay? We're going to pretend that this is the final row 39, and we're going to work a row 40. You guys ready for this? We begin with a slip stitch into the top of this first chain 5. So I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of that first chain 5, and now I will chain 4. I will place a double crochet into that same stitch that I did my slip stitch in. This here, that's what we've been creating all along, right? So now I essentially have to tack it down. So I'm going to go to this chain 1 space, and I'm going to work a slip stitch and begin this process again. So I'll chain 4, work a double crochet into that same space where that slip stitch is. Okay, and now I'm going to go over and working between, okay, between the double crochet that we're pretending, right? These are double crochet shells, so it would be 4 stitches. So here's 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. So working between the 4th one and the 1st one of the next, I'm going to go between those, and I'm going to work a slip stitch. Chain 4, and then double crochet in that same space. You got it? So I'm going to count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 4th one of my double crochet shell. This is the 1st one. Go in between those 2, work a slip stitch, chain 4, and then a double crochet into that same space. You see that? So I'm going to continue doing this all the way down my row, and I finish off with a slip stitch into the top of that treble right down there. And what it's going to do is it's going to make the top of my shawl look exactly like my sides, exactly like the way we started, and it's going to give a really nice finish. This shawl is a showstopper, and you will not be disappointed if you take the time to make one for yourself. Go ahead and grab 2 balls of the It's a Wrap Rainbow, your size G hook, your free pattern, and this video, and you will be underway to get this shawl completed within the weekend. I love the shawl. I think it's so beautiful. I'm Marley Bird. This is the Marley Bird YouTube channel, and now you know how to make the Delicate Shells Crochet Shawl. This is great for beginners, great for intermediate crocheters, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want more videos like this, make sure you have smashed that like button, leave a comment below, and hit subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye. Hey, thanks for joining me today on the channel. If you want more videos just like that one, check out some of these other videos that I've already handpicked for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that way you're up to date whenever I release a new video. And don't forget, smash that like button, as my kids say. Bye guys.